Well, we got a tip from one of our viewers that sounded like a good idea. So we went and got a piece of 1/4 inch all thread to drop down through our hinges. Of course, the viewer's tip was to use the all thread to line up the hinges in the first place. But since we had already done that, we just used the all thread to verify that our hinges were in alignment, and worked out okay. Door opens and closes nicely. Probably going to have to tweak the door a little bit once we get everything else in place, and we'll certainly use this process on the door on the other side to make sure that that the hinges are aligned. We've gotten our sander out a little bit and smoothed this joint down here a little bit. This one piece was overhanging the other. You know, these pieces are all cut a little differently, so we've got that in place, and really it's time to move on to other things. One of the things that we're going to do is make some new floor pans, and these are, well, they're okay, but they're not really okay. They're pretty well worn, so we'll use these old ones as a pattern to make some new ones. And then in the back there's a piece of material that goes at an angle between the base and the back splash there, and we have the originals. They're okay, but they're not real spiffy, so we're gonna make some new ones out of a little heavier material. I mean, it's easy enough to do. You just bend up a little material in the brake, and we'll get that done. We also found the pins for our door checks, and this one's missing a little pin, but that guy goes in there like that, and there's a pin in there. This particular arm has got a curve in it. I've seen both straight ones and curved ones. Don't know which is right. Maybe this thing just got bent over time, hard to say. But we're going to have to bore a hole in the post here and put this part of the arm in there, and then the other part of the arm goes through the door, and that really looks kind of funky there. We're going to have to make sure it's all straight. And then there's a rubber bumper here. Now, I have seen some cases where there's also a rubber bumper on the inside of that. I'm not real sure what the purpose of that would be, because it sort of seems like this thing here gets pulled in as tight as it can go. So I don't know what the point of putting the rubber bumper inside there would be. And in this particular case, we've got this little piece of rubber here that's looks like it's just a piece of fuel hose that somebody cut, and it's hard as a rock, so probably going to have to replace that. But we'll have to work on this a little bit. I think that thing has been tweaked a couple of different ways, and we'll have to work on getting it straightened out. We drilled a hole back through the post there and stuck our little pin in here for our door check, and oops, we got a problem, because this sticks out too far, and when you go to close the door, it doesn't go into the hole in the door. So, okay, I don't know exactly what's going on there. Maybe this pin is not the right pin for a TC. Maybe it's for a different model. My first inclination was to put this in the lathe and cut this back a little bit so that it was back farther, and that would allow the door to come around straighter and allow that to go in. The problem is, of course, that the door's got to come around and that's got to drop in the hole right here, and as the door makes the swing, it's just not lined up with the hole. So if this were back a little farther, then that would allow the door to be a little straighter and things to line up a little better. I don't know. I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to look into that, but I thought we had this sorted out, and apparently we don't. So without further ado, I always wanted to say that. Those guys on YouTube always say that. We're going to try to cut out a new floor pan. This is the, I guess you call it the passenger side, the left side. And we got a new sheet of material there. And we kind of traced around the old one. Got the hole for the handbrake, and there's a little cutout there for the it fits around the transmission. And I haven't really decided what to do in see if we can get the camera in here a little closer. Yeah, let's try that. Like in this area here, there's a couple of bolts that hold the tunnel to the frame, and I'm not real sure whether the floor gets cut out around those bolts or those bolts go down through the floor. I would think that the tunnel would be bolted separately, and then the floorboard would sit on top of those bolts, and then you've got a few places here where the floorboard bolts to the tunnel. But I can't imagine that you got to take half the car apart to get the floorboards out. I could be wrong. I'm mostly wrong most of the time, but you know, we'll keep going here. We got this cut out here where the rear mounting bolt is, and we'll get our little saw out and we'll get sawing away. I don't know what I hate more, bodywork, dust, or sawdust. Man, it gets everywhere. But we've cut out a new piece of wood for the floor on the passenger side. Right now we just have it sitting on top of the old piece. Still got a little refining to do, get it to fit down and exactly drill some holes in it, but it's in there. At least we won't have a Fred Flintstone car now with our feet hanging down through the bottom. After fitting and fiddling and making sawdust, we got the floor pan to fit in there pretty nice. We've still got holes to drill to bolt it down, but it drops right in there real nice. We're going to transfer our seat bracket bolts from the other piece into this piece and drill those so we can put our seat runners in there. We've also, as I said earlier, got to make these angle pieces that go back here between the floor and the backrest there. We've got the originals, but we'll make some new ones. And really what we're working on is just getting this all to fit right. I'm going to try to, we've put this corner piece in for the dash, and we've got most of our bodywork lapping over the wood frame quite nicely. I think in here what we've got to do is just sand a little bit of a track in there so that that metal folds over and gets hammered in and then is flush with the wood, because the way it is now, it's sort of overlapping the wood and sticking up. And I don't know what's original, but these guys that did this had the wood recessed and then put a skim of Bondo over everything to hide the nails. So I think we've just got to get in there. We'll get a little sander or something and just put a little relief in there so that that flange fits in the relief. That'll tidy things up quite a bit. And I think at that point we've got this side of the car pretty well sussed out. I mean, I can tell you that it's pretty damn solid. There's not going to be a lot of cowl shake, as they call it. The door impeller's solid. All of these rods, blah, 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 talk much. All of these posts are pretty solid. The back is still a little wobbly, but it's not tied together yet. And our door swings open and closed pretty nice. Looks like it's going to line up okay. We won't know until we get everything done, but we've kind of worked our way through this side of the car. So time to move over to the other side.